So, I've made 2 videos now criticizing the MCU and how it's gone downhill, and I've had my fair share of feedback, some agreeing with me and some disagreeing with me. But in today's video I am going to flip the coin and look at the MCU, but mainly Phase 4, in a different light. I'm going to look at what I like about Phase 4 and the good that it's done, and tell you guys some of the stuff that I think is really worth it. Now, you guys know that I don't like the lack of direction, the lack of structure, and the massive dip in quality, but there are some pieces of gold in this mess of a phase. So let's just get straight into it. One of the biggest qualities of this phase, in my opinion, is...
Hello, Peter.
Now, this might be quite obvious because I am mainly a Spider-Man fan first and foremost, and a Spider-Man YouTube channel, but No Way Home is the biggest praise of this phase so far. What a freaking blast, man. If the multiverse was to be the main building blocks of this phase and the saga as a whole, No Way Home did one thing that every Spider-Man fan could hope for, and cashed in on the multiverse. And yeah, it's not perfect in its writing or execution, and heck, it was made during a pandemic, but goddamn did it do the one thing that we all wanted. Bringing back Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and it was the best decision at the right time for absolutely everyone. No Way Home was a light in the dark, and I won't talk too much about it here because, as I've said multiple times before, I'm doing a deep dive into all the Spider-Man films, so I'll talk more about this film there. But No Way Home was certainly one of the better parts of Phase 4. Let's move on to the second thing I like about Phase 4, which is Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. This film breathed a new light into the MCU, something different, something that reflected this new phase, and something that took the quality of the first 3 phases and brought it with all its might. Shang-Chi cemented his place in the larger universe as well, clearly setting himself up as to one of the co-leads of the MCU's future. With a sequel already in the works and the Ten Rings playing a crucial part in the MCU's lore, it looks like Shang-Chi will be used as one of the main central characters and figures going forward. Plus, the film was beautiful. Come on, man, what a great movie it was. Shang-Chi looks to be one of the best Phase 4 projects we've gotten, and if its sequel, or if the Kang Dynasty is anything like the first, then we have something special on our hands. Now, excusing the multiverse saga for a second, Phase 4 is doing something that I think is rather special at the moment. Yeah, they're not connected to the multiverse stuff, but we have a street-level story crafting itself through the phase. Hawkeye reintroduced us to Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin. Echo will continue this, and Daredevil will almost certainly do the same thing as well. And hopefully, She-Hulk will have some kind of impact on this story when Matt Murdock shows up eventually in that show as well. But it seems like in all the chaos surrounding the directionless multiverse, we actually have some direction after all. The street-level heroes are getting their own story, and it looks like Daredevil will be the central character of this story as well, which is why I'm very excited. Obviously, I'm cautiously optimistic since the MCU's obvious dip in quality has been a red flag and has been more apparent than ever recently, but Hawkeye wasn't so bad, and since it looks like they're continuing on from Daredevil Season 3, I'm very excited to see what they do going forward. This is a big gem for Phase 4, and although it doesn't connect with the multiverse, what the saga should ultimately be aiming towards, I do think that we should keep an eye on this as the story moves forward. Obviously, the big story, as I said, is about the multiverse, and don't get me wrong, all eyes and focus should be on that. But since the MCU seems to be taking the route of covering every single aspect of the universe instead of streamlining like phases 1 through 3, I'm glad there is at least a central and direction-filled story, even though it happens to come through the thing that isn't the main center of this saga. This excites me and definitely is one of the better things to come out of Phase 4. That is it for my main bulk of reasons and things I like about the phase and things that I'm still interested in. But now I'm going to run through a bunch of other things that don't really need all explaining that much, but I do really like about Phase 4. I like that Phase 4 has representation of different characters, ethnicities, and cultures. It shouldn't really need to be said, but I love that these different characters are getting their time to shine. It's just a massive shame that they have all been made at a time where the MCU is in disarray, dipping dipping in quality, and ultimately at a time when the universe really has no direction for any of these characters and the story as a whole. I also love that Miss Marvel potentially might be a way of introducing us to the X-Men and the mutants. One thing that worried me with this being the multiverse saga was that they were going to introduce the X-Men from the Fox universe through the multiverse into the MCU, or at least some variation of that. And they basically almost did it with Multiverse of Madness with Patrick Stewart's Professor X. But at the moment it looks like they're going to be MCU born and bred if everything goes to plan. I also love that Loki is getting a season 2. I want to learn more about Kang the Conqueror since he is the main big bad of the next saga, and Loki was one of my favourite pieces of Phase 4 media so far. So couple the two things together and I'm glad we're going to get something that is going to build upon the overarching story of the universe and finally give us more of Kang. Loki season 2 will add so much to the endgame of this phase and I'm all here for it. And that is pretty much it for my defense of Phase 4 and what I think it does right. Feel free to check out the videos of me criticizing the MCU and what I think the main problems are at this moment in time. And if you enjoy video essays, then make sure to subscribe. I upload videos every single Monday, which is a video essay, every single Wednesday, which will be a fanfiction type video where we retell stories and we pre-write and rewrite stories as well, and Saturdays where we cover all the Spider-Man news that has come out the following week. With that being said, thanks all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care, and peace.